Tonight on KGW News, former President Donald Trump faces his fourth criminal indictment.
We don't take plea deals because I did nothing wrong.
Though that's what he said before an Atlanta grand jury charged him and 18 others. Also tonight, the extreme heat turns fatal. How people are now adapting to dangerous conditions to try to keep everyone safe.
Trying to beat the heat tomorrow, so we got 6 a.m. practice now.
And later, catching a car thief red-handed.
And I get closer, and he jumps right in my truck, and I'm walking as fast as I can.
How the senior who confronted a suspect barely escaped with his life.
Thanks for joining us. I'm David Molko. We'll get to the fourth criminal indictment of former President Donald Trump in just a few minutes. But first, to a double tragedy in this extreme heat. 2 drownings, one in Washington, another in Oregon. Both apparently people trying to cool off. Let's start in Clackamas County, where the sheriff's office announced this evening that a 44-year-old Portland man drowned on Sunday. This was in the Clackamas River at Riverside Park. And then in Longview, the Cowlitz County Sheriff's Office says a 15-year-old boy died also on Sunday while trying to swim across the Cowlitz River with 3 friends. Officials say the current was stronger than the teenagers thought. 2 made it out. 1 was pulled to safety by a man on shore. The 4th did not make it. Just a sobering reminder of how real these risks are. Let's get right to team coverage tonight with Catherine Cook on the impact of these triple-digit temperatures. But first to Chief Meteorologist Matt Zaffino. And Matt, we have broken so many records today. Where do we go from here?
Yeah, the list just keeps on going. It is warm out there. And yes, we broke a record today. I'll get to that in a minute. But right now, look at this. It's still 89 degrees in Portland here at 11:01 at night. That's really hot. I mean, we just now dropped below 90 degrees. So it's cooking out there. Let's check out the records, though. The first one, the big one, is our high temperature today. We made it up to 108. That's our hottest day since the heat dome of 2 years ago when we hit 116 at the end of that hot spell. If you take those 3 days, because we went 108, 112, and then 116 during the heat dome, and this one, 108, that basically means we broke the previous all-time record high in Portland 4 times in the last 2 years. That is impressive. Today, of course, is also our hottest August day ever, breaking the previous of 107. That was our previous all-time record high until the heat dome happened back in 2021. The other thing that doesn't get as much attention but should get attention is the fact that our nights are really warm, and we will set records for the overnight lows being super warm. The all-time record for August is in jeopardy. That was just set last year when we had a low of 73. That's what I'm forecasting for tomorrow morning. So we may tie the record for the warmest night in the month of August in Portland as well. Here are the numbers around town. 108 here, but Troutdale hit 110, tying Medford for the hot spot in the state today. Actually, Medford ended up at 111. There you go. Even the North Coast is in the mid-90s there. They will cool off beginning tomorrow. High temperature records, we'll get into those a little bit later on for you, but I want to show you the difference between now and 24 hours ago. We're running 7, 8, 9 degrees warmer than we were at this time last night. So again, it's going to be a very warm night. I know that's problematic for a lot of people getting your home to cool off. Now, this is something called the Climate Shift Index put together by the folks at Climate Central, saying that the heat wave we're experiencing right now basically 5 times more likely because of the influence of climate change too, and that's throughout the region. Okay, hot again tomorrow, 100 to 104, but a little bit cooler than today, right? And then near 100 on Wednesday, mid-90s Thursday, and then finally, gratefully, back into the 80s for Friday and the weekend. David, I'll have more later. Back to you.
Wow, these overnight lows just brutal. Thank you, Matt. See you in a few. Let's bring in Catherine Cook. Now, Catherine, we mentioned those 2 drownings at the top of the newscast. You were in Clackamas County this evening. First responders say the heat is keeping them busy.
Yeah, David, and that includes one of those fatalities. First responders say it is easy to underestimate the kind of impact this heat can have on our bodies. Plus, more people are simply seeking relief in places that always pose an element of risk.
Monday night on the Clackamas River.
It was just like instantly foot in the water. You're like, oh yeah, this is nice.
Caden Lipscomb and his buddies couldn't resist it after a long, hot day.
I just wanted to come down here because it's going to be hot all week, like hundreds.
It's definitely refreshing and relaxing.
That's the plan for most people here, but sometimes plans change.
It's tragic.
Clackamas County Sheriff Sergeant Ross Clemson says it was a busy weekend for deputies. They responded to multiple heat and water-related calls. On Sunday evening, deputies say a 44-year-old man drowned at Riverside Park. They say he jumped off a cement water intake in the middle of the river and didn't come up. A Clackamas Fire water rescue team recovered the victim. Medics spent more than half an hour trying to revive him, but couldn't. Crews responded to several other water calls to rescue people suffering from heat stroke. And then there was this rescue on land. On Sunday night, search and rescue crews from multiple agencies responded to Ramona Falls near Mount Hood. A hiker there was suffering from heat stroke. Trail runners reached him just before midnight. Paramedics administered fluids, then brought him to safety across the Sandy River and more than 5 miles in a wheeled litter.
We get so caught up in what we're doing out here, trying to have a fun time. Sometimes we miss those little signs that our body's giving us. It's super hot out here.
There you go. Elbows in. Ready. There you go.
The Heat didn't miss West Lynn, and the football team didn't miss their first night of practice. They just brought it inside.
We just told our parents to communicate plan A, plan B, and we're doing B.
Head coach John Eagle says everyone seems to get it.
The heat index just tells us we can't be outside.
That includes athletes.
Like, some coaches, instead of being all trying to be hardcore, like, you go anyways, there's looking out for us, making sure we get the best out of what we can do, but we're still getting a lot of great work in,
And there's always Tuesday.
Trying to beat the heat tomorrow, so we got 6 a.m. practice now. It's all good, though,
The heat's sticking around all week, and with it, a good chance of more emergency calls. These guys
Not coming down here alone.
don't want to be one of them.
Don't try to show off. That can lead to some problems.
You've heard it before, but first responders say it is so critical to wear life jackets. Kids always, but also adults when you're in the water. They say most of the calls they respond to in these conditions would not have turned into emergencies if those involved had been wearing life jackets. David?
Yeah, it's a really good reminder, and we cannot say it enough. Catherine, thank you so much. Stay with KGW for continuing coverage of the extreme heat for as long as it lasts. Be sure to download the KGW mobile app for weather alerts and options to stay cool as we swelter through these triple-digit days of summer. New tonight, an Atlanta grand jury has indicted former President Donald Trump on criminal charges, 98 pages that allege he and 18 others conspired to overturn his loss in the 2020 presidential election in Georgia. Co-defendants here include lawyers Rudy Giuliani and Sidney Powell, former White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows. NBC's Bree Jackson with the latest.
Former President Donald Trump indicted for the 4th time. The document charges him and 18 other defendants in connection to efforts to interfere in Georgia's 2020 election results. As part of the indictment, Trump faces 13 new counts, including racketeering and conspiracy charges.
As you examine the indictment, you will see acts that are identified as overt acts and those that are identified as predicate acts.
The Fulton County District Attorney, Fani Willis, arguing that Mr. Trump and his allies broke the law in their efforts to overturn Georgia's 2020 election results.
To accomplish the illegal goal of allowing Donald J. Trump to seize the presidential term of office beginning on January 20th, 21.
In a statement, the Trump campaign firing back, blasting the latest indictment and the district attorney as a rabid partisan. The GOP frontrunner insists he's innocent.
We don't take plea deals because I did nothing wrong.
Even before tonight's indictment was confirmed, the former president once again using his legal woes to fundraise, saying, "We will only continue to surge in every critical battleground state." The Georgia indictment comes just over a week before Trump's Republican rivals face off in their first debate. In Washington, Bree Jackson, NBC News.
Back here in the Northwest, the Klamath Falls man accused of kidnapping a woman, then holding her in a makeshift cell, pleaded not guilty in court today to 2 federal charges. Nagasi Zuberi faces 1 count of kidnapping and 1 count of transportation with intent to engage in sexual activity. Back on July 16th, Zuberi allegedly kidnapped a woman in Seattle and drove her to Southern Oregon, where he locked her in a cinder block cell in his garage. The survivor was able to escape, and police arrested Zuberi in Nevada. Authorities say he's lived in 10 different states and has used multiple aliases. The FBI confirmed today it is still searching for other victims. New at 11, the story of a brazen car thief and the senior who says he tried to stop it. Alma McCarty talked to the 72-year-old this evening about his ordeal and why the loss of his work truck has hit especially hard.
For 50 years, Jeff Worley's worked in construction.
So I've done it most of my entire life. That's all I know to do, and I still love it. I absolutely love what I do for a living.
And for 23 of those years, this was his work truck, the reliable vehicle towing a trailer of tools to wherever the job would take him.
It's just been my livelihood. My family has grown up in that truck.
These snapshots show what that truck looks like now. The aftermath of a theft on Southwest Hamilton Street in Portland last Thursday, right in front of his eyes.
I'm looking at us walking to my truck, just gradually walking to go home, a long day, sweaty. I'm looking at him going, what? Oh, he's stealing my truck.
Worley says when that realization hit, he hurried over while the thief hopped in the driver's seat.
And I hear the truck start off, and as soon as it started, he burned the tires through the dirt and the gravel, my truck and trailer. Then my first thought is I'm absolutely losing my life. This guy's taking my truck and every tool I own. I stood right in the middle of the street. He charged right at me, slammed those brakes and hit me in the chest with the hood of the truck.
Somehow he wasn't injured and got out of the way as the thief revved the engine and sped off. He flagged down police in the neighborhood who tried to help. Worley says he thinks that made a big difference.
This guy took my truck and trailer, and I really feel like he panicked because he saw these 4 policemen. He wasn't even a mile and a half away from where he stole it.
That's where the trailer turned up. Then, over the weekend, police found his truck all the way in St. John's, burned out and a total loss. Despite the return of some of his possessions, Worley says he's still outraged.
There's not enough justice for people to do that. They don't give them what they deserve.
Now at this point, Worley tells me he is not sure what will happen next. He knows he's got to get a new truck in order to keep doing his job, but it's been a tough couple of years financially. In terms of a suspect, we are still working to find out whether officers have arrested the person responsible. David?